Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Normal World. This is the news. On a recent Jimmy Kimmel Live, Ben Stiller revealed that he offered Barack Obama a voiceover role on Severance, which would have been the first Obama severance since Michelle's bottom surgery.
Still not feeling it from yesterday.
Oh, no.
I'm fine. I'll be fine.
That's okay.
I'll be fine. I'll just follow the white light. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Normal World. I'm Dave Landau.
I'm Black Garrett, and with us, as always, is Angela.
Hi. What up? What up?
What's up?
Yay, yay.
Yay.
And of course, we just saw Matt McClowry, so we can introduce him.
Yeah, I guess.
You can see him on the road with me.
Howdy.
And, yes, behind me.
Yeah. If you're on the road, where are you going?
Oh, I will be March 22nd at the Roxy in Rochester Hills, Michigan, with Mike Loftus and Don Jameson. And then March 27th through the 29th, Spokane, Washington.
Oh,
I used to call Spokane.
That's not how you're supposed to say it?
Nope, Spokane.
Spokane.
Mm-hmm.
She don't like Spokane.
Thank you guys so much for hitting the like button and commenting and subscribing. Actually, a lot of you guys listen to the podcast version of it later when you're doing something else. You're taking a crap or doing the laundry or something. So comment below what you're doing right now. We want to know.
Yes, what do you do when you
And
watch?
don't make it up, because we'll know. We'll know.
Do know.
We'll know.
Now, I'd like to welcome to the show, he's a former misdemeanor terrorist. Please welcome Steve Baker.
Ow!
Thank you. Did you say misdemeanor or
No, misdemeanor.
Okay.
Did I say misdemeanor?
That's what it sounded like.
I have 7 misdemeanors, so I promise you I know the word. But I might have said misdemeanor because there used to be a show called Cops.
Cops, yeah,
an
Misdemeanor,
animated
the
show.
villain.
The guy's name was Misdemeanor.
Misdemeanor.
So sometimes I say that instead of misdemeanor.
I was thinking, should I pull that out of my hat? And you did it for me. I appreciate it.
No trouble.
I thought I'd be too nerdy.
No, I remember old stuff.
I just thought it'd be
Old
too much of a
things?
deep cut.
No, it is a deep cut.
Yeah.
Was the show Cops?
It was a cartoon. It was fighting. It was about cops in the future, fighting crime in the future, because they thought people in the future would love cops and view them as heroes.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay, I was going to say, because
And
my
it didn't
father-in-law
turn
was
that-
on Cops.
they were way off. Yeah,
that way.
The other one.
well, it's like C. It's an abbreviation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's like periods in
I
this.
see.
COPS.
Yeah.
So having had been arrested and had a couple of these myself, none of them included the word terrorism, which sounds more like a felon.
Yeah, well, they tried to put a felony on me. I got a grand jury subpoena, and when they do that, if you know anything about grand juries, they are not seated for misdemeanor investigations. It's only a felony investigation. So they tried, and they failed. Even the D.C. grand jury couldn't find the evidence of me acting and performing as a journalist inside the Capitol very terroristic, I assume.
So we know that here, but basically what happened was you were accused of being a January 6th, and then you were arrested for a terrorist felony where you actually came here and turned yourself in. Is that correct?
Right. Yeah. No, I knew that we were going to have to, or I was going to have to self-present because the FBI had let my attorneys know, and we could have done it in my city where I live, which is Raleigh, North Carolina. We could have done it in D.C., and obviously because we knew the Blaze cameras would be here in Dallas, we chose Dallas.
Smart.
Smart. Real
They can do anything to you.
Yeah, that's right.
They can say anything happened. Very smart play. So what happened? So you went, where did you go to jail?
5 whole hours. I got locked in a cell with a meth dealer, but
That seems on par.
yeah.
Like if they're serious about terrorism, you're probably going to be sitting next to a meth dealer.
Well, the funny part is that the day before, when we got the instructions of where we were going, because I had to turn myself into the FBI field office here in Dallas, and so the actual email to my attorney said that I had to turn myself in, and I quote, wearing a T-shirt, shorts, and flip-flops.
Was it?
Mandate?
That was in the email for my instructions.
Were you going to Jimmy Buffett's
Bachelor party?
So I said to my lead attorney, I said, why are they doing this? And he said, well, you know why. It's a shaming exercise, and they're going to, and you've been poking them in the eye for 3 years, so this is just one of their little ways of getting back at you. And I said, okay, I'll be there tomorrow morning in a suit and tie, and that's what I did. I showed up in a, full suit, tie, dress slacks, shoes, the whole deal.
As you should, because they're basically trying to get you to dress like our friend
yokel
Adam
or
Lectern
something.
guy. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I love
right,
Adam.
right.
I'm just saying that, that they were trying to make you look like one of the herd, as it were.
Yeah. So my attorney, one of my attorneys, so I have an attorney actually here in Dallas as well. So he went up and negotiated with the FBI when we arrived at 7 a.m. on March 1st of last year. And they said, okay, we're not going to make him change into an orange jumpsuit, but he's got to take off the jacket. He's got to take off the tie. He's got to take off his shoelaces and his belt.
That's common.
Yeah. Understand. They got to take all the items you can hang yourself with.
Exactly. Or that they hang you with.
Exactly. So
turn off.
I walked in. The one thing that they weren't expecting is have you heard of the suspendables? The FBI whistleblowers. That coalition of FBI whistleblowers have this pin, and it's their own logo is an upside down FBI badge, and that's their logo for the suspendables.
Really?
Yeah. And so I wore my upside down FBI badge to be arrested by the FBI.
They recognize it?
'Cause I'm a honorary suspendable from the whistleblowers.
Are you really? Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So when I went up and I shook the FBI agent's hands with the Blaze cameras on me, and I turned around, waved to everybody, and they took me in, started processing me. And
It's like how people in fraternities get out of DUIs, and I know this. You have that pin,
Like, I'm one of
and then
them.
you notice they have that pin, and then you just shake their hand, and all of a sudden it all goes away. I like the way you're playing this.
Yeah.
It's like me.
Yeah.
Go on. Sorry.
So anyway, so they did the whole thing, and you know what I'm talking about. You've been through it. Take your shoes off and your socks off, and they check everything, and then they put me in cuffs behind my back, walked me out to the car on the Blaze cameras.
Perp-walk.
So I got the perp-walk on camera, and then they drove me down to the federal courthouse downtown Dallas, where they handed me over to the U.S. Marshals, who then proceeded to put me in leg irons and the belly chains. So I had to shuffle in my appearance before the magistrate wearing leg irons.
So they put you in Hannibal Lecter gear minus the mask.
Yes, and I wish they'd put the mask on me, because then I'd had a much better story to tell.
That would have been great.
It's a good story.
But what was
Been
amazing
biting everyone.
is I am being charged in federal court. I'm having my charges read to me in my arraignment for 4 nonviolent misdemeanor charges. And there are felons sitting in the gallery with their attorneys wearing their suit and tie.
Really?
So they required me, because I was a J6er, misdemeanor, because they've created this whole idea of misdemeanor terrorism now,
Right.
that didn't exist before January 6th.
Nor should it.
Well, no, it should never.
Right.
If you walk in with a camera into the Capitol, even if you were a grandmother who was, I call them the accidental tourists, who walked in for 7 minutes and took a selfie, in the rotunda, and then walked out, and then got SWAT raided, 6 months later. At 6:00 in the morning. I didn't have that happen to me, but what was ridiculous is that, like myself and 80 other journalists who walked into the restricted space, I behaved myself like a journalist. You can see me stopping.
Right.
The Blaze, has a 37-minute. We have all 37 minutes of me in the Capitol on camera.
Yes.
On the Blaze channel and on Blaze YouTube.
You were smearing poo on the walls.
Yeah, that was me.
Smashing
Yeah,
things,
that was
of
me.
course.
You went to the bathroom on the desk, I recall.
Yeah. That wasn't me, and that was the point. That was the whole point of this: is why did they choose me and pick me to prosecute and not the other 80 journalists? And that was going to be our defense in trial had we gone to trial, because we were demanding discovery from the government to explain to us why they didn't charge them, but they charged me. And the judge would not allow us to present that defense.
Which is crazy.
It's very crazy.
I mean, there's really no reason why you wouldn't be able to say, look, there's 80 people at the Capitol. We're all journalists. We're allowed to be there. You have your press credits.
Well, I know myself and
Credentials.
about 40% of the journalists that went in that day did not. And then a significant other of the big profile guys, like Luke Mogelson from the New Yorker, he actually hid his credentials, because that's what you do in a riot. You a press guy doesn't want to be seen.
Right.
Right? Doesn't want to be identified and beat up by the violent misdemeanor terrorists.
Right. Well, and being from the New Yorker, there was a good chance he was going to get beaten pretty severely. I mean, just for the content they put out.
Right.
Snooty.
Very snooty. Those cartoons never have been funny.
Not once.
Anyway.
Yeah, so I mean, it was just that. My problem, and the reason why they ultimately went after me, is because I did a live stream that night, YouTube, with my colleague and actually my closest friend, who is also a writer. We were there covering the event that day. Now, he didn't go into the Capitol, but what we did from our hotel room at 8 o'clock that night, after it was all said and done, is we're watching the television and we're goofing around watching what's going on. And we saw on the news that it was alleged that Nancy Pelosi had her laptop stolen. So I said on camera, on YouTube, I said, well, my biggest regret of the day is that I didn't steal Nancy Pelosi's laptop.
Right.
Because can you imagine what I would have learned about the government from that? No, I'm an investigative journalist. That's
insider trading. You could have made yourself some good money, my friend.
Didn't even think about
it. That's like a golden ticket.
And so
Biden
then
wouldn't do a somersault; it would kill him. Anyway, sorry.
Yes, no, but then so I'm describing the thing. I said, yeah, and I even walked into the hallway into the speaker's office area, and I said, and I actually said these words. I said, as soon as I saw that everything had been disheveled and tables turned over and desks rifled through and bookshelves were all on the floor, I said, unfortunately, because I saw damage had been done there, I got the hell out of there.
Sure.
And then I said, but it couldn't have happened to a more deserving bitch.
Now, and then they strung you out.
Right. So, but these are comments I made in Virginia across the river in my hotel room that night.
I mean, allegedly, Paul Pelosi said the same thing.
So what the FBI asserted in my charging documents and the statement of facts is that I had expressed my mental position as being part of the mob that day, that I had given away through my comments off campus from the Capitol what my real state of mind was, and that was to be part of the riotous mob.
So let me get this straight. You exercised freedom of speech away from the Capitol? What the hell were you thinking?
Well, it gets better than that.
Yes, I'm sure.
No, it gets even better because I did not go to trial. My pretrial hearing was the day after the election.
Oh, wow.
So my judge was not happy.
Oh, I'm
He was
sure.
not in a good mood.
Oh.
And his name is Christopher Cooper. Christopher Cooper, in addition to being my judge, who we don't think was randomly selected, because the officiant at his wedding was none other than Attorney General Merrick Garland.
Oh, wow.
Start there.
What a coincidence.
He was also the same judge 2 weeks before I was arrested, held Catherine Herridge, who was with CBS at the time, in contempt of court because she wouldn't turn over her sources on a story she was working on. And then when Dr. Simone Gold from Frontline Doctors, when she was sentenced for her January misdemeanor terrorism, and the judge was sentencing her to 2 months in prison for doing nothing at all.
Right.
He chastised her, and he said, and this is an exact quote, he said, January 6th was about a lot of things, but it ain't about the First Amendment. So this judge, a federal district court judge appointed by Obama, sworn to, uphold the Constitution, does not like the First Amendment. So when he denied during my pretrial hearing our ability to defend myself, denied. That's all he did.
Outright.
It was just deny. All of our motions are demands for discovery from the government for why they didn't charge the other journalists, et cetera, et cetera. He denied everything. And then he looks at me and my attorneys and goes, see you next Wednesday.
The idea, my issue with a lot of judges, though, is that the power that they think they have. And the stuff, and they do get away with it in their chambers.
They do have.
Yeah, they do have.
In their chambers, they tend to treat it as if they can create the law. They don't have to abide by the Constitution. I've been on the other side of that, where you're looking at somebody who's looking at a reporter and telling you that you can't use any of the defenses that you would need to get you out of the situation. And this is the problem with a lot of the whole system is designed to scare you and to keep you in it.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, it's always been.
But in there, they are God.
And that's how they want to be treated.
That's right.
I mean, I've dealt with some that get it and they want to see you go back out on the street, maybe try again. But when you're at that level, they're there because they're God. You don't get that high without an ego and a level of narcissism that I can't begin to comprehend.
And so what ended up happening, I got on a Zoom call with all of my attorneys right after the pretrial hearing, and two of my attorneys were former federal prosecutors themselves, and one of them said right off the bat, he said, Steve, he said, your trial is going to be nothing but a shaming exercise. You know that, right? And I said, yeah, that's why I'm instructing all of you right now to notify the court, notify the DOJ. I am not going to trial.
Good.
And I said, I am going to plead guilty to all 4 misdemeanor charges. Trump had just won the election. And
So they were very pissed.
And under federal law, until you are sentenced, you are not convicted. So if you've had a jury unanimously declare you guilty of all charges, you are technically under federal law not even convicted until you are sentenced. So my sentencing date was set for March the 6th of this year.
Oh,
that is.
Happy anniversary.
How about so the point is that me knowing that and my attorneys knowing that is I said, so I'm going to plead guilty. I'm going to roll the dice that Trump follows through with his campaign promise to pardon at least all the nonviolent misdemeanor defendants.
yes.
And we'll see what happens. Now, if he doesn't, I'm going to prison because my judge hated me.
Right.
And then on January 20th, the man did what the man said he was going to do. He followed through. And so I didn't get a pardon. I got a case dismissal with prejudice, which is even better.
Yeah, they can't come back to you.
Yeah.
I had never been convicted. So it's like the 4 years that I went through never happened. Except, it did happen. But
No, but it's a riveting story to have to deal with something like that. And you're looking at it where you did have media behind you and at least an outlet and money, let's be honest, to be able to defend yourself.
Yeah.
A lot of these people didn't. The only option they had was relying on Trump's word to actually, pardon everybody or do something about it. And for so many people that we've seen, thank God they did. What we've watched for 4 years is such a gross abuse of power. And that's what I'm enjoying about now is watching them have to suffer through this.
Yeah.
Because we had dealt with lockdowns. We had dealt with everything, mandates. Every level that you can do to help restrict your voice and never ever say something that went up against the opposition. And it needed to stop.
Yeah. And that's exactly what happened, and you identified it, is there was such an abuse of constitutional rights, due process, but more importantly than anything else related to January 1st or January 6th is the fact that they absolutely went after speech. It was speech.
Yes.
It didn't matter if you were the grandmother or you were the independent journalist at the time. I wasn't with the Blaze at the time. It was your words that you said that determined what your charges were going to be, and ultimately the way the judge treated you in sentencing. It's what your statements were made. It's the words that came out of your mouth. That's why I always talk about scary words, convicted. Right. Scary words got Stuart Rhodes of the Oath Keepers 18 years in prison. Not actions. He did no violence. He didn't go into the Capitol. He just said words that sounded surprisingly exactly like our founding fathers.
He wasn't even there, right? He wasn't even there, right?
He was there.
Oh, he was there, but he wasn't inside.
It was Enrique Tarrio
Thinking of Enrique,
of the Proud Boys who wasn't there. He was in Maryland. And he got 22 years. But it's scary words that got those, because even in the Oath Keepers trial, which I covered every single day of that trial for 9 weeks, I was sitting in the courtroom. And what ended up happening in that trial is there was 8 or 9 FBI agents who testified against them for the government. Every single FBI agent said, we have no written or audio proof of the Oath Keeper leadership ever ordering the Oath Keepers to either go inside, to overthrow Congress, to overthrow the government, to stop the certification, to do anything. Every one of them, under cross-examination, said, we have no evidence of that.
Right.
But they all said, because they're all former military, former cops, they talk like sailors, and some of them were. And and so they say scary words, and they say, shit that the government doesn't want to hear. But more importantly, they said scary things that scared a D.C. jury who was 99.5% voting for Biden.
Right.
Of course.
So that's the jury pool in D.C. So all you had to do was prove to them that Stuart Rhodes sounded like, Thomas Paine,
Right.
You're right.
And
Pick one.
Just pick one of those, and then you get a conviction on seditious conspiracy, and then the judge gets to sentence him to 18 years.
Disgusting.
Oh, see, he's not still serving that, is he?
He got pardoned.
That's what I thought.
Actually, he got a commutation. That's a whole different can of worms. But he did get a commutation, so he got out of prison. So he's out.
It's interesting how complicated the legal system actually is and the different ways that they do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just designed to pretty much confuse you. Yeah. But the Constitution is right there, and that should always apply. And that seems to be they always try to do this workaround.
Yeah.
And it really does go against freedom of speech and any sort of values. And they really did try that for years. And I mean, you're living proof of it.
Yep. And that was exactly what hung over me. I didn't even hear from the FBI until July of 21. So 6 months later, and then I didn't do my interview with them until October of 21, and then we were told that they were going to arrest me in November of 21. So we actually got a letter from an email from U.S. Attorney saying that I would be arrested within the week. This was the week before Thanksgiving.
Exciting.
And they were going to charge me with a felony, but you'll love this one.
Yeah.
They were going to charge me with interstate racketeering.
Wow.
Yeah.
They were going to bring some gaudy shit down on you?
Yeah, it was a whole
trafficking, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a RICO thing.
It's a RICO case.
Yeah.
So they were going to hit me with interstate racketeering. And we laughed. I mean, we just literally laughed because what they were saying is because, again, as a journalist, I had licensed my videos to New York Times documentary, HBO's documentary. I had been used by news services all over the world. My videos had. And so what they were alleging is that I had conspired, because conspiracy also has to be part of a racketeering charge. Mm. So I had conspired with somebody with foreknowledge of an illegal event that was going to take place in D.C., and that I then traveled across state lines with that foreknowledge for the express purpose of profiting from the illegal event. And they were going to try and make that case. And so we did a media counteroffensive on the week of Thanksgiving. We sent out like 200 press releases to every news service, and started doing interviews and radio, talk shows, TV, podcasts, blah 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 blah. Right. And they backed off, and we didn't hear from them for 20 months.
Wow.
Yeah, they went away, and then I got the grand jury subpoena in August of 23.
And they were hoping you were going to take that at home by yourself. Yeah. That was the deal. Yeah, that's why they waited.
Right.
Yeah, they wanted it to cool off and get you at home. Dude, you're lucky. I'll tell you what is guilty, though. What's that? Republican red of being delicious.
Oh.
That is for sure.
You would know that, though.
I wouldn't know for sure, but I've heard it's delicious. I have many misdemeanors.
Misdemeanors.
From...
It's delicious.
From days of drinking alcohol, but not really red wine. You're never really a big red wine guy when you crash into a tree in a high-speed chase.
The purple lips.
Yeah, nobody's like, oh, look at that. That guy's probably just leaving a festival, some sort of art convention. There's
Wine mom.
Are you ready to toast the golden age of America?
I am.
Yes.
Are you guys ready? Be sure to check out the iconic 4547 Pinot Noir, or the newly released Golden Age sparkling wine. That pays tribute to the 45th and now 47th president. Yep. Republican Red is America's winery, folks. Those bold wines let others know where you stand. Inspire with this by drinking it in front of people and telling them, there's 50,000 other of me that find this quite delicious.
Yeah, sucker.
So if you go to republicanred.com, you can use the code NORMAL, and you will get $5 off your order. What is that?
That's $5.
That's $5.
Straight up $5.
Get a hot and ready.
In your pocket.
So, just go. RepublicanRed.com, use the code NORMAL, and look at that. The elephant is in the room.
Yes, and he's toasting.
Yes, I got to talk to the owner of the company.
Really?
It seems like a really cool, what they're doing is really
That's
cool.
really awesome.
And yeah.
They're
Cool,
nice
really
people.
cool.
Yeah.
And thank you for sponsoring this episode, Republican Red.
Yeah.
We should fancy you up a commercial.
Delicious and affordable. Yes, and we will.
Yes, delicious and affordable.
Thank you.
Not like that Coppola stuff. Right?
Gross.
Right, Matt?
Yeah, it's
You
terrible.
wine drunk?
Yes. I certainly am. Yes.
I wonder if that's what Speaker Johnson's chief of staff was drinking After
drinking choice.
After the speech the other night.
Yeah.
Apparently, he went out and did a little celebrating after that momentous and very, superb speech that Trump gave in front of the joint houses of Congress. And driving either back to the Capitol or leaving or whatever, the chief of staff, I believe Haynes is his name.
Yes.
He ran into a Capitol Police car.
Oof. Wow.
Yeah.
That's unlucky.
Yeah, it was an unmarked car, so
Even
you can
worse.
understand that.
Look, a lot of police cars are disguised now, and it's kind of not fair.
Right, so
I mean,
it
if
was
you really want a fighting chance, you should know where they are.
It was what they call a dignitary protection detail vehicle. So it was one of the unmarked guys that, like the higher ups, the muckety mucks, like Johnson would be in or whatever.
Right. Or hitting.
Yeah, or Pelosi or whatever. And so apparently he ran into one of those cars, and when they investigated, he was sloshed and got taken in. And then it was not immediately released the next morning.
That's odd. I feel like they'd be right on top of something like that from everything you've said thus far.
Yeah, we heard about it, and we kept checking the police blotter and kept checking and kept checking. It never happened. And then
It would have been great if he did hit the speaker's car, though.
Oh,
the guy's in it. He's like, you.
Yeah, when you're the speaker's chief of staff and you hit the speaker's car.
Yeah, that would be wonderful.
Yeah. So, anyway,
I should say it's wonderful. But
it really
really
happened.
good time.
It really happened. It hit the press, and then that was yesterday afternoon.
do we have a video
Do we?
yet?
No.
Oh, there's got to be a body camera on
Oh,
I'll
somebody.
find something. I'll find something if you guys keep talking.
Yeah.
Yeah,
find something.
there's got to be a body camera on somebody. I want to see him walk the line. That's my favorite. Because what they do is they make you walk the line and touch your nose and all that. Mm-hmm. Then they still give you a breathalyzer, and you're like, what is all that jazz for?
what the heck?
You know?
Just messing me around.
Yeah, so it's not really fair. Like, yeah, now I'm dizzy.
Is it really because they're trying to trick you and make you say stuff like the
Like the alphabet
Alphabet,
backwards. The idea is, you'll say, well, I can't say the alphabet backwards sober. Oh, gotcha.
How many times has that actually worked?
Probably never.
Maybe on cops.
Probably more of an urban legend. Maybe on Steven Seagal's show.
Here's the funny thing about the chief of staff DUI incident is that when I heard about it, because we heard the rumors, because it's hard to keep something like that suppressed when you're talking about cops.
Sure.
Talk. And so I called the one of our editors, our DC political editor, Chris Bedford, plays this guy up in DC.
Okay.
And he goes, first of all, he said, you almost, for a congressperson, it's almost impossible to get arrested unless you hit a cop car. And I went, well, he hit a cop car. He goes, okay, well, that changes the dynamic.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't like that. That's a saying.
It's a saying. Yeah.
It's not a good.
Yeah, it's in the zeitgeist.
No, I'm sure
I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
I'm sure they get rid of a lot of people over there.
Oh, you're not getting arrested. You're getting
Yeah, getting clipped.
getting whacked.
That's what I think.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm very excited. I want to see the DUI tape. Those are my favorite.
Yeah.
If anybody has 4 of mine, I would like to
send it.
watch them. I didn't have body cameras, though, when I was arrested,
True. Yeah.
which is good.
Worst part is this guy has to get a dad speech from Mike Johnson now.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
He's got a lot of those in him.
Oh, he does.
Got him prepared.
Well, speaking of dads, Luigi Mangione probably has one. I said it.
He's daddy.
He's a daddy. Well, people think that he's very sexy. And a new report claims that a UnitedHealthcare murder suspect, Luigi Mangione, filmed at least 20 different highly stylized sex tapes before his arrest.
Highly stylized.
You weren't there during those 4 hours, were you, friend? You don't know?
Comments?
I'm just disappointed I didn't get this in enough time to go look up the highly stylized.
I tried to look them
why
up,
are
trust
they-
me, and I could not find them anywhere. They're-
how-
Release the tapes.
I did thorough
Highly
research last night until the...
Maybe I can get
was
Speaker
air.
Johnson to release the tapes.
Yes.
Oh.
Well, he's got 70s porn bushes on his forehead.
Yeah, that's true. He's got 2 landing strips. And
Were they Dutch angle or something? Why is it described that
Maybe
way?
they're parodies.
they've got to be parodies.
Yeah, it's like
I
a
think
meta-
they are parodies.
Meta joke. He's got like a Luigi costume on.
I mean, it seemed that his life was pretty good,
It's,
other than
and then
when he shot a guy. And then it got bad. But we here at Normal World are disgusted by the left's glorification of such a sadistic and immoral figure. Yeah. And now please welcome our other guest for today, Andrew Tate.
Oh.
Kidding.
fuck. Oh, he's not here. No.
I'm sorry.
Wiped his phone.
Also,
busy.
another Rico.
I'll play the role today.
There you go.
Hey.
You just got to put on the bald cap.
You're much too likable.
Yeah, you're way too likable. You got to be like, women is stupid.
You beating any
People are
women?
like, I got to give that guy $10.
He'll teach me to be a man.
Yeah, that's right. Since Luigi is an Italian who whacked a guy in New York, people are comparing it to a mob hit. So we bring you a half-assed top 10 of titles of Luigi Mangione's sex tapes. Thank you. I bet you're happy you did this show.
Yes.
I am now.
As long as there's a fart joke. That's as low as we'll go. We'll go lower.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes.
The Touchables.
The Rodfather.
American Yankster.
Ooh.
A most violent rear.
Perfect.
Carlito's gay.
Goo fellas.
The Reservoir Dongs.
That was a good one.
I whacked him.
Mean Sheets.
Choking on Carlito.
A Bronx male?
There you go.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
What do you got? Matt,
Howdy.
are you here? Hottie, like John Hottie. You're on fire today. Why don't you go sit out there? And
I've just been trying not to talk over him.
Good job.
You're allowed to ask questions. He's in the room.
I'm just being polite.
You
By
missed, You missed the I mean, you should have done a top 10 list of songs because,
Ooh.
well, I mean, Mangione's daddy's got to be Chuck Mangione, right? The jazz musician.
There you
That was
go.
the only thing. As soon as I heard Luigi Mangione, the only other Mangione I grew up knowing was Chuck Mangione, the jazz flugelhorn player.
Yeah.
And his big hit was "Feels So Good."
Oh, that's a good way to end it. But you should come on the show and play that.
And
yes,
I
absolutely.
Can you play it?
I memorized it when I was 17 years old.
Did you really?
Yep, I know it.
Where is it now? It's behind, and we have one right behind you now. Reach back there.
Andrew Tate is
The
here
live.
with the trumpet.
Oh, he's back there.
It's. Thank you. That's been half-assed top 10. What do you think he's going to get?
Chuck Mangione?
No. Chuck Mangione is already guilty of being
Rock and
fabulous.
Roll Hall of Fame.
Yes. Yeah. No, what do you think is going to happen with Luigi? I mean, they got to make kind of you got to get life, right? At least life.
I mean, he popped a guy on camera.
It was an insurance guy, though.
You can't
Right.
see that it's him on camera.
If you kill an insurance CEO, that's to the left. That's a get out of jail free card right there.
It has made him a bit of a martyr.
It really has.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't there a bunch of like women waiting for him?
Oh, yeah.
lots.
It was like
There's shirts with his face on it. I mean, he's really become like
it's like an icon.
an iconic.
He's a sex symbol.
I'm so angry about that.
Please.
It's resentful.
You did say that, resentful. He's a sex symbol.
It's like,
That's what it takes.
it's like I
like what
look
you've
like I kill people. I never did. But that was always my wheelhouse. Even my wife to this day, she watches those documentaries about serial killers and she'll say to me, "Is it weird that they all kind of look like you?"
You're in the template.
Yeah,
It's just in the blank stare.
no, they always have the fixed furrowed brow all the time thing too.
That's fine. I look like a midget that died of a heart attack after I was on Love Boat. We all have our crosses to bear. What was his name? Hervé?
Hervé Villachez, yeah.
Man, who shoots
played-
himself in the chest?
He was played by
He's
Peter
already at the
Dinklage
level.
in the movie. It's a good movie.
At Dinner with Hervé.
My Dinner with Hervé. I like that
Movie.
movie. Yeah.
Yeah. I probably would shoot myself in the heart just because I don't like me.
Yeah, you would do it in a pain,
The most painful way possible.
and you would screw it up too. You wouldn't nail it.
No, I'd
you would
still
you
live.
would not stick the landing.
It would probably just hit one vertebrae so I couldn't walk. But I could still have use of one hand.
You'd do it where you'd hurt
I'd
yourself
win America's Got Talent.
just enough where you'd still have to work. Yeah.
Yeah, I do it just enough to where I can have some bits out of it.
We can put you in the St. Jude commercials.
I want you to win America's Got Talent now just to see how you'd fuck that up.
Sorry. Oh, I would.
And like when Richard Pryor set himself on fire, you just do it for the bits.
Yeah, you got to do it for that.
Got to commit.
I mean, he gave himself, MS. I mean, the guy really owned a bit.
You went in.
I love Pryor, but yeah, I like that he burned himself and then did just immediately turn it into a great bit about eating milk and cookies.
That does
That's how you know
sound
you're a
like you.
legend.
Yeah, it's probably how I would.
You would.
Yeah, I immediately wouldn't take the responsibility of what really causes. There's a whole world of pain in here. Anyway.
It's just that Dave Landau chronic diarrhea concert film.
Oh no.
That's
It would cost.
Oh my God, sorry.
That's like
Is that
your
what-
that's
that
like
was
your
what
Tig
shut-
Notaro breast cancer.
Yeah.
You just do a whole special on the toilet with your pants around your
25 minutes said of how painful it is to eat anything.
It's actually really funny.
And then have doctors be like, listen, here's what you got to do. And I'm like, listen, no,
I'm not doing any of those things.
I'm going to do what I'm doing now. Because if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, it's called insanity. And that's the way I operate. Have you ever had any addictions? We can bring up. You don't have to admit it.
You can make them up.
If I made one up,
They might look up you.
yeah. No, but no, I honestly, I had a time in my life where I was genuinely financially, to my financial peril, addicted to golf.
Really?
Yeah, I mean,
It's very
What does that look like? Are you betting on them or?
I
literally
bet I was betting when I played, but I had a period in my life where I played an average of 3 to 5 times a week. I'd never traveled without my golf clubs. I traveled everywhere that I went. They were always with me, and I got to play some of the greatest places in the world. But it was very expensive habit, and not one really I was capable of affording at the time.
Yeah. I once drove a cart into a river on LSD.
So was it close to that?
I didn't have the LSD component in my game. I mean, we would.
It makes it fun. The grass moves. There's an
And the
extra
hole.
layer of challenge for
Is
you.
it harder the whole moves?
Did I ever tell you about a mutual friend? You know him, a mutual friend of ours who got addicted to staying in hotels at one point.
No.
He got his own apartment and he didn't really like the vibe of it. And so he had a lease for a year and he literally spent every night of a year in a different hotel.
Oh, I know who you're talking
Yeah.
about.
That's a female thing. That sounds very
Yeah.
female to me. I don't
Well,
like the
yeah,
vibe.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Setting in. I got to try
Yeah.
something else.
Yeah, he was also a little female.
Yeah, he was a bit.
Okay.
He's done a few shots in the mouth, if you get what I'm saying.
Gotcha. All right.
Which I may or may
Is that
not
a golf
have.
term?
My friend,
Yes.
one of our mutual friends had a great joke of him. It's not that he couldn't picture him performing oral sex on a man; he just couldn't picture him seeing it through to the end.
He's not a go-getter.
No, this guy, no.
No.
Yeah, great guy, good guy.
I may have accidentally decloseted him in front of his father, and that felt real bad.
No.
I was very drunk, and this was 20 years ago.
No, that was one where he's like, when I asked him about that too, he was like, "Well, I came out when I was a teenager, and then kind of went back in."
Okay, because I thought he wasn't out, and then the next night I was like, I think I was on stage, and I may have told your dad you were gay. From the stage, but in a very curt and sincere manner because he was bothering me that day.
I get that. No,
Yeah, I felt bad.
No,
it's not
I
something
mean-
you should do.
Don't tell
He had some-
Dave any secrets ever.
It's a very personal choice.
no, it's like no, we'll have the improv troupe go up first, and then you close.
That's why I was mad.
Yeah, it didn't work.
I think that's an equal offense.
Yeah.
I do have a current addiction. I don't know
Okay.
why it passed my. But, I mean, I
Like meth.
No, it's
Yeah, the heroin.
close.
I,
I am a cigar aficionado.
Okay.
Really? It's actually, my cigar habit's more expensive than what my golf habit used to be, but I can afford it now.
Right.
It's a completely different thing. So I don't consider it a detriment anymore. And so like just yesterday, I got a gift from Liberty Cigars out of Atlanta, Georgia. It's a little spot for you there.
Yeah.
They sent me a gift, and they had engraved the cigar box with my picture, and it actually says at the bottom, former misdemeanor terrorist.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, that just arrived here at the Blaze Studios yesterday.
That's
What's your
paying
favorite?
off.
Yeah, huh?
What's your favorite cigar?
My favorite cigar of all time was a box that I got in 1991.
Is that a Clinton one?
Reused.
Okay, 1991, it was a box of Cuban Monte Cristo number 2s, and I have never, ever been able to duplicate that, and I've tried many times. Not even every year of Monte number 2s are never as good as that year, and every other thing, nothing has ever come up to that standard.
Well, what's the factor that makes you feel that way?
It's a sandwich from Bennigan.
It's just like
what I get.
I said 91. It was actually 2001, and it's just like wines, the terroir, the weather that year where it's being grown, and how it's
soil makeup,
the soil, how it's aged, all of those factors coming together because it's different every year. So no matter how much the rollers and the experts try to make it as close to what people that buy that or like that cigar try to get, there's always that one special time in the year that it's better than ever.
There you go.
So there you go. So
Have you ever had a really good Cuban? Because I've bought many
Yes.
Cubans. I feel like I've been ripped off. I'm not talking about
On the dark web?
Yeah, there was
The 2001 Cubans are the
16 is legal in Michigan. Anyway, no, what? Yeah, the 2001 Cuban.
the best cigar I've ever had in my life was that box of Cubans, and the worst cigars I've ever had in my life were Cubans.
Yeah,
Absolutely, 100%.
that's how I feel about them. Like I've been disappointed so many times.
It's
that one.
where
I'm
you,
just keep
it's
looking
where you buy them. B, Cubans are horribly counterfeited, so most people buy counterfeits, and then it's crap. It's like smoking a turd.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because Mexicans will come up to you and you're like, you're probably Cuban because I'm white and I don't understand.
Right,
I can tell.
You're like, here's $50 for something you just rolled in your Volvo, your VW.
Not on your
your
virgin.
Volvo.
Not your Volvo.
That's a Clinton cigar.
Yes, it is. Yes, those are tainted.
Yes,
They are.
literally.
Yes. No pressure. A lot of pressure. I like cigars. I don't know. I like them on occasion.
Mm-hmm.
Today I wouldn't want one because I think I'm going to die. but
God.
No.
other
On the
days,
occasion,
We'll get you a good one. I always have a stash with me here, and then my second office in Dallas. When I typically leave the Blaze early every day and go to Casa de Monte Cristo, the cigar lounge down in
oh,
Dallas,
okay.
and I go there, and
We've
that's where
been
I
to a
work for.
cigar lounge, a couple of them, but I don't remember
there's
that
one
one.
not too
Anyway,
far
sorry.
I can't write. I'm like an old school guy. I got to have that cigar hanging out of my mouth when I'm typing, or I can't write without one.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
We were just talking about, who was the Simpsons writer?
Oh, John Schwartzwelder.
Same deal.
He
He banned
chain
smoking in a restaurant. He bought the booth and put it in his house.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess that is my addiction. I can't work unless I'm smoking a cigar.
That makes sense. See, everybody's got something, and I like to find out. That way it makes me feel better about my poor choices. Matt, what are you addicted to?
Well, I mean, the only friggin' chemical addiction I've ever had was caffeine, but I've been able to wean myself off of it ever so slightly because of the invention of paraxanthine, which I've gave you that Rare Bird coffee, which is made by PX. It's the 80%. It's the caffeine, major metabolite of caffeine. 80% of it is paraxanthine. The other 10% are theobromine and theophylline. And most of the negative side effects are from the theophylline. So it's a much cleaner, quicker energy that doesn't make you anxious or disrupt your sleep as much.
You looking for a
just do it.
co-writer?
I was just going to ask if that was going to make the cut. In the show.
It actually makes sense. He knows a lot about what he's talking about.
I know. Well, that's my big thing too. Is
I
then
tried to kick caffeine once, and it was a crippling migraine for like 8 days, and I'm like, I'm not doing it anymore.
That's the thing. You reset your adenosine receptors, and Michael Pollan talked about it on Rogan. But then that first cup back is insane. It's like you realize how powerful of a drug that it is, and part of my thing now is like trying to maintain that power, So it's like switching stuff on and off, and like my big problem is just like the vitamin shop and supplements, nootropic stuff, like the was it called? Like the, Huperzine A, Lion's
that's what I was
Mane.
thinking.
Yes, exactly.
We all know these.
Yeah.
I got Lion's Mane. I do have that.
Yeah, it's
That's a
Rhodiola Rosea.
High school.
Lion's Mane.
Well, I mean,
Giving up caffeine and nicotine are not in my future. It's just not. I don't.
Nicotine's good for you.
Yeah, in a certain. Yeah.
To an extent,
well, I mean,
Caffeine, I can't. Like, I'm just addicted to everything. I gotta have something.
You know George Burns, who lived to 100 years old. Great comedian of the old days. He was in one of his final appearances on Carson, Tonight Show.
Right.
He was like 98 years old, and he's smoking a cigar. And Carson asked him, he said, "How many of those do you smoke a day?" He goes, he said, "Between 15 and 18 a day."
Wow,
and
yes.
and Carson goes, "What does your doctor say about that?" He goes, "My doctor's dead."
He had the giant stogies too that were comically sized.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. 18 a day, like a pack of cigarettes.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody I knew though when I was young who smoked, like older people, they worked in a coal mine somewhere. Like they had this horrible life. They went to asbestos school. And then they're fine. They're like 102, and they can take anything nature throws at them because they've already been dragged through everything that could kill you.
Yeah, that's right. That's because they're not
robust.
getting the chemicals that we're getting today in our food.
It's the food.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, today you eat a peanut and 4 kids die around you.
Yeah. The cereals.
It's true. I mean, it's totally different now. And I wonder what's changed. It's got to be the poison in the food.
It is.
it's very
That's
much
why all
that.
that kids didn't used to be allergic to like gluten and all of these different things, and like now they are. Or maybe did we just not know about it then? I don't know.
We
Chicken or the
only
egg?
knew one kid that had a nut allergy, and we always tried to give him peanuts. We'd like put him under the pepperonis.
That's how you get rid of the allergies, by slowly giving them
a
what.
natural selection.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
simply
we just
doing
take
a
'em out.
service. And then I'm like, $20. Where's the EpiPen? I'll tell you. Yeah, we only knew one kid. And it makes me sound like an old man saying that, but I mean it in a way where it's not good. The
Yeah.
kids
But
can't.
that was the way it was with all those childhood diseases. There was only one kid who had autism when I was, or something. We didn't know what autism was.
Yeah, we
Just
didn't.
the
No,
one kid.
everyone thought I was retarded.
Yeah, we had no idea, and now it's every kid in the class.
Well, that was the thing. Like
I don't
I
know how
said,
anybody would mistake that. No, but it's true. That's it.
no, I was like, because it wasn't popularly diagnosed. I was born in 1983.
No, it's only diagnosed now by
Yeah.
people themselves.
Who don't have it?
They don't really have it, yeah.
They're like, oh, I like to keep my rug straight. I have autism. Anyway, sorry.
Well, that's the thing you see when you see these comics and like reels go, yeah, I was just diagnosed with autism, which really explains. And you're like, oh, does it? Does it now?
Did you see? There's a Gen Z video. It was on TikTok where it's like a gender reveal, but it was autism results reveal, and he got all of his friends to come over to his house.
No,
and had a little
I
cookout,
didn't
and
see
he was
this.
like
Wow.
opening up the results, and I'm autistic, and yeah,
Like a gender reveal. It's
Yeah.
an autism reveal party.
yeah.
What if they were all negative?
Yeah.
Then what?
I don't know what to do now. We
They
did the whole party.
cheered it?
Then
Yeah, they had a cake.
You can do a gender reveal at
Then-
any age now.
That's true. They can't go to that now.
then you're just an asshole like I was until I was 15.
That's what I mean. Like, you had an eye patch for your cross eye and couldn't look anyone in the eye until last Wednesday. But people were like, I wonder what he has. I mean that with love,
Well, I know, but that was a totally different issue.
Yeah. Oh, that was a different issue?
Yeah,
Well, wasn't all part of
that
the-
has nothing to do with autism. I mean, it's all a mess. But yeah, I mean, there's a chance we'll fix that.
I feel like it might.
There's a chance someday that might be fixed.
You don't have a bad eye now.
No, I'm legally blind in this eye.
Are you really?
Yes.
God, I don't listen when you talk.
I think I knew that.
I knew that. I forgot that. Yeah.
I zone out every once in a while too. Oh, what was that? You want to kill yourself, Dave? Oh yeah, you lost everything.
I'm glad when there was a breathalyzer in my car. Yeah. You were the one who was like, I'll drive. I just have to puff into this so I can get your car started. I've been sober 15 years. It didn't just happen. Almost 16.
That's my
Let's
favorite.
go.
What's your birthday?
You still smoke.
July 7th.
Nice.
That's my favorite moment. One of my favorite moments of our friendship early on is you going, yeah, do you mind if I smoke? And I'm like, yeah, go ahead. It's your car. And you're like, yeah, it's really my only vice. Beep, beep, beep. Hold on. Okay, 2 vices.
There's so many people that got in my car. All right, we're just like, oh my God. Yeah, it's never good. Like, can you pick up the headliner from the airport? And you're like, I sure can. And they just get in the car and they're like, are you blowing into your car? And you're like, yeah, I'm opening for you. Pleasure.
I'm sober today.
Yeah, I'm fine now.
Yeah.
This thing wouldn't be running if it wasn't. Look, I got a leg tether on. You're gonna get to know me.
Get to know
It's
me.
gonna be fun.
That's right. I'm no congressional staffer.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was very curious about your story too, because I have a lot of issues with the judicial system as well as the government, and I've tried to tell my story many times, as often as I can, to draw any attention to what's happened to people as a result of government and a result of, the judicial system itself. And I agree some addicts should be punished. There's only a certain amount of times. I probably should have done jail time at some point. But I was young for most of my arrests. But I think that when I would watch a lot of my friends have to be in this revolving door of bankruptcy, it was supposedly something that was American, and it's always been very disgusting to me to see. And I always saw money win, and I always saw poor people lose, and it's very sad.
Well, and with all the January 6 cases, I've always said that I'm like the most unscathed of them all, because so many of these individuals, and I'm not talking about the violent offenders, the guys that were really, cruddy and did some, shitty stuff that day.
Sure.
I'm talking about the nonviolent people that just, like I said, saw an open door and walked through it, took a couple selfies, and then they were swatted. They had the red dots on them and their family. They were taken down at 6:30 in the morning, put on the ground, cuffed, hauled away. They lost their homes. They lost their families. They lost. We've had so many stories of kids that were, abandoned their parents because they were arrested. Divorces. They were kicked out of all of their organizations, their churches. They lost their jobs. They lost everything as a result of January 6th. And I'm talking about the misdemeanor guys, not even the felons. And in my case, I got a bigger platform. Out of it. Now, I was already doing the work of journalism at the time, and because of the work that I was doing, revealing what the underhanded, weaponized government, what they were doing to those people, and because we broke a couple of really big stories as an independent, that's why the Blaze came to me and offered me a job.
Sure.
And so I ended up getting a bigger platform out of my experience with January 6th, and I don't know what, at the end of the day, I don't know what the judge would have done to me had I gone to a sentencing hearing.
Prison.
Yeah. But it would have. I don't know what the term would have been, because the very first independent journalist who was convicted, he got 8 months in prison, 2 months in solitary. And when he got out of solitary, he was in a medium security prison in Georgia. He found out he was the only misdemeanor defendant in that prison.
Why would he be in solitary?
It's insane.
I guess it's a benefit not to have a roommate sometimes, especially when one makes love to you.
Right.
But at the same time, though, that's usually restricted to punishment.
Well, when he got out of solitary, all of the and got into Gen Pop, they thought that he was a narc because he was in there with a misdemeanor offense.
Oh, that's a good thing to tell other prisoners.
Right. And
like
so they didn't trust him, and they said no, you're the only misdemeanor defendant in here. We're all, felony guys. We're professional criminals. We know, this is what we do for a living, and we go, we know how to go to prison. And they thought he was lying, and he said no. He said this happens to January 6th defendants.
Wow.
Yep.
Tyranny.
That is insane.
Tyranny.
Well, that's why I said they created an entire new classification of misdemeanor terrorism.
Yeah.
Which is, it's bizarre that exists. I shouldn't say bizarre, but the fact that exists is a real charge.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to.
It's not a real charge.
That's what I mean. Yeah,
it's a real result. And
right.
It's how it's been handled.
God, that's a really good point, because they basically can't give you a felony, but they still throw this at you.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is going to be abused again in the future
if we don't shout it from the housetops and continue to do the work that we're doing. And some of us are not going to give up on this.
Yeah.
Is this having something to do with what Elon was talking about in the Oval Office when people were ragging on him about when he had his son with him and all of that, and he was talking about kind of tearing down like the judiciary system.
Yeah.
Yes.
And people were really scared about it. But it's like when you actually look at it for what it is,
This is what he's talking about.
Oh no!
Yeah.
It's so corrupt. It's so complicated. So beyond justice anymore.
Yeah.
That they have to tear it down. Just like but they've got to tear down all those agencies. They've got to absolutely dismantle them. Most of them not rebuild, and the rest of them just get rid of them.
Well, and the idea of law enforcement serving a narrative above the public is one of the most terrifying things I've ever heard.
Yeah.
And that's what we've seen the result of the last 4 years. That's not benefiting anybody. They try to disguise it as if, look, we're going to let you riot or whatever it might be in cities. We're going to make these rioters look worse. They're just trying to disguise something.
Well, it's also, they're not just trying to disguise things, but they're also trying to demoralize their opponents.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And once that comes with a jail sentence,
yeah, then you're afraid.
We're a done country.
Yeah, you're finished.
There were very few of the January 6th defendants. Adam, John,
Yeah, Adam Johnson. Yeah, he comes on the show. Yeah, I like Adam.
The lectern leader. I mean, he has made a career out of this now, but he was able to survive as well. He had a good financial base, good working woman back home.
Yeah, she's a lovely woman, and he's got a good family.
Yeah, he comes to a lot of our shows, and just as soon as you meet that guy,
you're like, this isn't a criminal.
No, it's not a criminal.
Great.
He's like a golden retriever, man.
It really is.
Yeah.
Meeting Carrot Top would be more terrifying. Well, that's more
Yes.
terrifying.
Right. I mean, he was one of those, few symbols of January 6th, which is why they threw the book at him. It's why they put him in prison, even though he didn't do anything worthy of that. And but his life probably is going to be ultimately better because of it. Mine has been because of it. But
you helped a lot of people, and you should give yourself credit for that.
Well,
because you played it smart, you helped a lot of people, though, and that should be said to you.
Thank you.
It's true.
Trying, and we're not done yet. We've got some other big stuff coming out that we think it's gonna rattle the whole narrative of January 6th.
Good. Mm-hmm. Thank you for coming on the show. Where can we find you?
Well, obviously, there's always that whole X thing. So I am now Steve Baker USA. I changed my handle recently after my exoneration and
there you go.
My case dismissal. I changed. But anyway, Steve Baker USA, and then obviously here on the Blaze. Blaze TV, YouTube Blaze, blah, 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 all over the place.
Cool. Matt?
At Matt McClowry, all platforms.
And I love you.
I love you too, my friend.
Don't think that I was being mean.
I never think that at all. How else? If I didn't say mean things to you, how would we?
I don't know how we talk to each other. All we do is say mean stuff to each other. Why would you be nice? No. Well, that's your good friend.
No.
Yeah.
You can be nice to strangers. Your good friend
you don't know those people.
Annabelle wanted to see Uncle Dave.
I would love to see Annabelle,
she just says it. No,
Get a sec.
But I saw her last week.
She
warmed up to him big time.
Big time. I was playing peekaboo in the car from Vegas to LA the whole time.
She loves Uncle Dave. She's like, Uncle Dave's
some
silly.
Quality time.
Silly Uncle
And then
Dave.
she saw me in the hallway and she says, Uncle Dave's silly.
Yeah, Uncle Dave's silly.
Yeah.
That's so cute.
I'm the godfather of his lovely daughter. So
Fantastic.
yeah, she's 2.
Mm-hmm. She looks like she's 4.
My son,
She's tall. In my house,
10.
we call her the tall baby.
Aww.
Stevie's 2 as well.
Yes, but she's very short.
And then you have, what's your youngest?
He's about to be 3.
Okay, that's what I
Turning
thought.
3 pretty soon. The end of this month.
My youngest is 26. He's just out of diapers. So.
Wow, good for him. Nice.
Finally, it's nice to get that last one out of
Why don't
diapers.
you get him done?
Yeah.
Next year, he'll be off my insurance, so that's okay.
Oh, that's
All
exciting.
right.
You're like, there you go. Take care of yourself. All right, let's go to the end of the world. Okay. What are some other Luigi Mangione sex tape titles? Let's just do that.
Tidy Bulger and Black Ass.
Ooh. Throwing out the Boston.
Cabone.
Well played.
Thank you.
What do you got?
Scar taste.
There you go.
John Dick.
It says it all.
I don't know.
Phil the Irishman.
There you go.
Here you go.
And what do you got,
I was going to
Angela?
say analyze this.
Thank you all for tuning in. I'm sorry that my body's failing.
It'll be better next week.
It'll be better
Yeah.
in time.
See you next
I
week.
hope.